So today I'm doing an update on my kayak changes, just going into a little bit more detail what I'm doing, some of the updates that I made to the kayak. So one of the things I did was I added a battery outlet right here, and so I added this little compartment here, that comes standard, and then I hooked up a battery cable right there, so I could put the battery up in the front of the kayak. And so I just put the battery in here, and here's the cables for the battery. Ran the thing through there, and that way I don't have all the weight in the back end. It kind of levels out the kayak some. So that was the thing I did. The other thing I did is added this port here to hold my GoPro mount. This is actually a design that came up by Marty Zofinger, and I just added that there, and that way I can have the GoPro mounted on a stake there. I was going to show you a couple of things, the way I mounted this part right here, which is the control for the trolling motor. And so I had to put a Scotty mount in there, and I'll go ahead and put the thing in that fashion. And then what I have here is a ram mount. So this is a Scotty mount here, with a ball, and then I've got a ram mount that's attached here. And then the only other thing I did is in the back of the round ball didn't quite fit in there, and so I went ahead and notched it out so that it would fit inside those grooves. I don't know if you can see that. The grooves into the thing so that it won't slip around. I had that spinning around because I couldn't really hold this tight. So I have a manual piece there, and that keeps this thing really firm. And then I showed this before that this is the switch on the inside here that was in the trolling motor before, and that's how I control it. And then since I don't have my battery here anymore, I have a connector that I can just put like that, and that hooks up the battery part. And then this is the four-way cable that I had that went to the trolling motor. So I'll go get that trolling motor and show you how I set that up. Although I have shown some of this before. I have to put it down because I kind of have a tight room with the garage door closed for the noise. That's how I put that on. I've got the cable here. This cable here is for pulling it down when I have to raise the motor. So I pull this, that unlocks the thing, and then I can pull that at the same time and it'll pull it up. So I want that up there to give a little leverage. So that's how I set that up. So I'll put my seat in. You can kind of see how that fits. So, this is right behind the seat. out of the way, but it's also raised, so any water only gets down here. It never really gets up here, so I shouldn't have any issues with that. And then I take the the cable, trolling motor, hook it up there. I got that hooked up there. And then I'll take this cable here and I latch it, I should say rope setup. I just latch it on the back of the kayak like that, so I can turn around and grab this thing and then pull on this, because you have to kind of pull hard to get that unlock to happen, and then I can pull this up. But when I'm in the kayak, I can do that pretty easily once it's set up. So I kind of suspend this up in the air so that it's not hitting my other fishing stuff here. One of the other things I did was I had 1/4-inch eyes here, and they broke on my second trip. So I went and changed to 3/8. So they're much bigger. Had to modify the rubber band steering a little bit, but essentially, it'll still steer back, back and forth. This is a lot more stable, and the fact that this is longer also makes the steering a little easier. What I found in the steering is that that's right. I keep the steering latched like this when I'm transporting it. So when I put it up on top of the car, and then I just unhook this, put it through the eyelet, and then I hook it to the opposite side because that's the way I prefer to do the steering. Some people might like to do it the other way, but it kind of doesn't matter. You can change it, on the fly. So, it just crisscrosses like that. So now if we go back to the steering, you can see it. So sometimes it'll get stuck like this. So even though I've got the rubber bands, there's tension and it just won't come back. And so, you have to push really hard with the other foot because it gets stuck. But what's getting stuck is inside here. And I could lubricate it, but then I'm going to have to deal with it getting dirty. So I haven't really messed with that yet, because it does seem to move freely. It just gets caught, I think, when the string's not being pulled back completely straight. If it was more over here, then I maybe a cleaner pullback, but it's pinching a little bit because it's on the side. But I don't think it's enough to worry about. One of the other things I did too is I added these eyelets here to help to keep the string from getting caught up, and that just helps keep the steering cable in line. But those are the changes that I made since I made my last video. Just a few little updates, but they're good changes. My wife decided she wanted to get one of these too, so I've started setting up her kayak, and so the first step is to create this horseshoe piece. And so this is the one that I made for her kayak, and it's the same thing that I have here. So did the holes. All I've got to do is add the two pieces of 2x4 and mount that on the back of hers, and start that process. So I kind of showed you the finished product before, but you hadn't seen how I did it. I essentially made a template, and that's that's what I made. So it's a little bit different design, but I was able to make it from a 2 foot by 2 foot piece of 3/4 inch plywood. I didn't do the outdoor plywood because I painted this one here with a waterproof undercoat, and that before I painted the black, and I'll do the same thing with this piece as I put it together. So that's my update for today.